Representative Barr.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And you know, strategic ambiguity has always been a curious policy regardless of the administration. And I appreciate the ranking member's concerns. I want to, though, point out the important context. You know, the National Defense Strategy establishes a strong defense along the first island chain. It references the Senkaku Islands, South China Sea, Taiwan Strait. That is not an abandonment of Taiwan. I would argue that enhanced military-to-military communication is not appeasement, as my friend, the ranking member, likes to characterize it. In contrast, look at the NDAA that this president signed. The COINS Act, a new tool of economic statecraft to deny Chinese access to American capital markets in sensitive technologies and entities of national security concern, the PRC Malign Influence Fund, the Stop China Fentanyl Act, enhanced relations with Japan. That is deterrence. That is enhanced deterrence. I would also urge all of my colleagues to take a look at what else is in the NDAA that this president signed. $15.6 billion for the Pacific Deterrence Initiative, $490 million in Indo-PACOM commander priorities left unfunded by the Biden administration. Increased funding for innovative new technologies to deter the CCP, including hypersonics, AI, autonomous systems, cyber, mobile micronuclear reactors, high-energy lasers. Requires the Navy to implement a program to ensure surface fleet can rearm at sea. Supports the Marine Corps 31 amphibious warship requirements. Enables efficiency in the congressionally authorized block buy. Requires DoD to report to Congress on growing military cooperation between China, Russia, North Korea, and Iran. And then specifically on Taiwan, the bill that President Trump signed reaffirms U.S. support to defense of Taiwan, establishes the Taiwan Security Cooperation Initiative to provide the military and security forces of Taiwan with lethal assistance to enable Taiwan to maintain self-defense capabilities, authorizes DoD to establish a joint program on military trauma care with the military forces of Taiwan, authorizes funding for U.S. forces to continue training Taiwan, requires DoD to assess and plan to include Taiwan in more defense industrial-based cooperation and revitalization agreements, mandates an assessment of deploying asymmetric naval assets for Taiwan's defense and any vulnerabilities of Taiwan's naval platforms. By the way, the focus on the Western Hemisphere and the National Defense Strategy, not ignoring China, focusing on Greenland, focusing on the Golden Dome, that is deterrence of China, focusing on getting China out of Panama, and reestablishing strong American presence in Panama, very pro-deterrence. Getting rid of Maduro in Venezuela, where China had a base of operation in the Western Hemisphere, not a lack of deterrence, very pro-deterrence. So I just think there needs to be some context. I do appreciate the testimony that Congress might consider reaffirming the Taiwan Relations Act. And I think that's a good idea. The Six Assurances to Taiwan Act is not a bad idea. Now, quickly to a question. The Trump administration, in fact, did announce an $11 billion arms sale to Taiwan, the largest in history that included HIMARS, missile systems, and drones. I commend the president for approving this historical sale that sends a clear message to China that the United States and this administration stands against their coercive acts with the people of Taiwan. Ms. Khan, the backlog of U.S. weapons to Taiwan still stands at $21 billion. What needs to happen to expedite the delivery of these weapons to Taiwan? And with this new $11 billion announcement from President Trump, what do we need? The Porcupine Act? What's the answer? The Porcupine Act is a great proposal. And our colleague, Mr. Whitman, has offered that for this committee's consideration.
Well, the continuation of weapon sales to Taiwan is an important signal, and it's important that every administration has continued to make that happen for Congress. My concern is about the process, and that's what I'm highlighting for congressional oversight, because of the history. The history is that under President Bush and Obama, we had long periods of so-called freezes in arms sales to Taiwan, long periods under Obama, which started under Bush, where Congress did not get the congressional review of arms sales until they were all sent up in a so-called package, which is why I really object to the word package. They should not be sent up on one day. And so what I'm calling for is simply that congressional review means that the president respects that congressional review and sends the pending arms sales to Congress on a regular, routine basis, as it should be done.
And my time has expired, but Dr. Rapp Hooper, maybe in another answer to another question, you could also address the Porcupine Act and how we can expedite these arms sales and get rid of this backlog. I yield back.